So yeah, hello. Today we have Adam from Wonderverse, which is actually funny story, like one of the first DAOs I did some work for it in my whole entire Web3 life. So I'm so happy to be talking to Adam today. So today we're going to talk about how Wonderverse is kind of accelerating world domination, as I put it. Let's get started. Like Adam, how are you? Like, really, how are you?
Yeah, hi, thanks for having me. First, the article you wrote for us was amazing. So definitely appreciate you being a contributor. Definitely set us on the right path. So really appreciate that.
No.
I'm doing really well. Yeah, life is good. A lot of stuff happening, but really excited to be here.
Amazing. And of course, the whole, what's your story? Tell us who you are, like what you do. How the hell did you trip and stumble down the rabbit hole / get kind of crypto pilled and doing cool stuff?
Yeah, love it. So I originally started, my career in world improving projects. So, like doing like fundraising for a food bank, helping a guy with a book on like rainwater catchment systems. And, I even did things like I was like a baseball announcer. So I have like a very like eclectic, weird variety of experiences. But I really wanted to get into the tech scene and startup scene. So I did like bootstrap a software company years ago. But the problem was we didn't get a lot of users. So then I decided I want to learn growth. So I came down to the Bay Area, got a job at The Hustle, did a paid acquisition there, learned the craft. And during that time, I had met one of my co-founders, Andros, at one of our events. And like, it was just like an instant click. And we just talked for months and then started like building projects together. And I saw what was happening with DAOs and it made perfect sense to me because the previous software company that I started was actually about community collaboration, but it was focused on nonprofits. Mm-hmm. But this like use case made perfect sense. So then like we decided like it matched our skills, what we were passionate about, what we wanted to do. So yeah, we just dove into it.
Okay, sick. I love all of that. I love the eclectic background. I love the finding someone you really click with and starting something. Before we get into anything, before we go a little bit further, can you define a DAO in one sentence just for people who have never heard of a DAO or like, I just like, what? Yeah,
of course. I think of DAOs just as digital co-ops. So something that's super beautiful about them is they just borrow a bunch of different pieces of different systems. So they have like governance. They also use methods of startups or nonprofits, or the co-op element is like shared ownership. Mm-hmm. So they basically take like the best practices of all these different fields and like combined it into this really badass organizational structure. So basically when I like explain a DAO to like my grandma or my friends, it's just like hundreds or thousands of people working together on a project with shared ownership. And what's super interesting about that in a typical like startup model, the system is like you get together with a couple people, you either fundraise or you don't fundraise, you spend years working on something and hoping that it works. With like a DAO, it's super agile to where you have, hundreds or thousands of people working together on a project. So you can move super quick in an agile way. And it's basically like the quickest way to getting equity in a company too through a token. So I think it's like a beautiful way to apply problem solving at a large scale in a massively collaborative way.
Okay, that is bloody beautiful. And one more thing, like you use the word token. Like I think when people hear token, we think, I don't know, when I think token, I think like I need to buy some arcade tokens so I can play this board game. But can you describe it like in the context of like the crypto space or like the Web3, the Web3 space?
Yeah, that's what's super interesting. So when I tell my friends like what I'm doing, they're like, oh, you do like, it's like Bitcoin or something. And like people have so many like ideas of what Bitcoin is, but the way I had just described it, I think of it more like shared ownership in a project. So it's actually a better like way to equate it to equity in a company in some regards. And that equity of the token has different values that you can assign. So it might be a utility token or a governance token, and that has different consequences. So when I almost want to like move it from how people in Web2 typically think about tokens and kind of move it more into like a ownership mentality where you have like autonomy in the organization. Like if you were working, if you had like early Nike tokens, stuff like that, and having like a voice in the shaping of Nike, like I think that's super cool. So it's not just like some pyramid scheme, or I would remove all those attachments and think of it more like having ownership and a say in an organization.
All right. So we've got, so ownership, basically we're thinking of it as like more than a stake, like kind of like a share, or your 2 cents, or in this case, your token in what the DAO organization looks like, which I really love. I think like one of the biggest problems is that we're using all of these services, like, and we have no way, like if we don't have, I guess, the capital, we have no way in like dictating where this goes or what they do with their current service, like the majority at least. So yeah, I'm not going to go any further. I'm going to ask you, like, when you say like, I think I read somewhere on the Wonderverse, like you're like looking for world domination. Domination, I find, is like such a like heavy word, but it's like quite, I guess, like overarching. So I wanted to ask you, like, what is your idea of utopia in terms of like a world that has heaps of DAOs in it? Like, what is that going to look like, and why do we want it?
Yeah, so I think it's in the US, there's 20 or 30 million like small businesses. I think there's like 1 million or 2 million nonprofits. So it's like there's a ton of these organizations, right? You think about how many DAOs there aren't very many. But when I think of DAOs, I think of it more like a tool in your toolkit. So with a typical company, you exist to solve a problem, but then you have to exist perpetually or else it's a failure, right? So if you start a business, if it ever goes out of business, it's a failure. So it's like, they're always like, how do we grow? How do we stay in business? How do we continue? I think with DAOs, they can exist in a certain time and space and kind of think of it more like a flash mob to solve a problem. So a lot of the problem solving that we need to have happen in the 21st century isn't going to be solved through, this thing existing for 40 years perpetually just because it's supposed to, but more like people coming together, like liquid super teams, from his concept from Packy from Not Boring. So coming together to solve a specific problem in a time and space, and then being able to dismantle and having that be a metric of success. So thinking about solving things like climate change, equity, zero waste, accessibility, things like that, those types of problems, you just want to exist in a time and space. You don't have to exist forever. So when the coined phrase that we were using is helping DAOs take over the world. And like the vision for that is, it'll be, we'll be successful when like my grandma is in a DAO. Like we want to make it accessible for everyone because we think it's like an amazing model to do problem solving without all the overhead and other things that happen with businesses or nonprofits. So the vision is, like people are able to follow their passion, the things they want to work on, align that with the mission and their skill sets while being able to contribute in the world in, more subtle ways. So if you want to write an article today, you can. If you want to contribute to an engineering project tomorrow, you can. If you want to do like social media content on Thursday, you can. Mm-hmm. We're trying to just make like the future of work and play and define it in like a really like fun way that aligns with your mission and values. And the last part, talking about a utopia. Utopias are, so I think it's typically defined like a perfect system or something like that. Mm-hmm. And that almost is like the wrong way to phrase a utopia or frame the discussion in some ways. Because if you've been like human for 24 hours, you realize like we're not perfect. We're super far from it. So it's hard, to think of what a perfect human system exists. I think like we exist in a system right now that has consequences, wherever you're born, what class, what race, what gender, like what country, all these things have different effects on you. I think the best thing that we can do is provide the best soil possible for humanity to be successful. Like right now, you think about the paths that people take and how we raise people through culture, through the tools that they have. We actually want to make it to where, you know, like building is accessible for everyone, where anyone can go from 0 to 1. You know, like you don't, right now the system exists to where like you have to move to the Silicon Valley, you have to raise money, you have to do like XYZ. I think like there's so many good ideas and so many talented people out there. We want, you know, we want to make that as easy as possible for like world-changing impact to happen. So to me, like a utopia, like I'd say like abstractly, you know, like everyone's taken care of, you know, we're living with the planet versus against it. And, you know, like we have a healthy balance between technology and humanity. And everyone feels like they're taken care of and they can self-actualize. So that's my overarching goal.
Literally, like, so beautiful. And I like that you link the land to like humans and culture and everything and technology. Like everything is inextricably linked. Everything has consequences. And I think one thing I got from that was I think solves a huge problem is that you're getting rid of the barriers for people to do what they can be doing. Like you're literally expanding the possibilities, and that's pretty freaking awesome. So I want to like bring this conversation to Wonderverse. With this, like, can you tell us a little bit about like what it is and like what was missing or incomplete in the space, and like how is Wonderverse going to solve this problem or like fill that gap?
Yeah, I think the best example is maybe going through what the process of us working together was. So so generally Wonderverse, we provide like project management tools for DAOs. So it's a really like slick system. There's so many different use cases DAOs have versus a traditional company. So they need a custom tailored software for them. So it's really exciting. So Wonder operates a lot like a DAO. And I think like we connected in Discord on maybe like a growth channel. And I maybe said like, we're doing articles, we're paying, you know, USDC and Wonder tokens for articles. Yeah. So then we connected in the DMs and you like pitched me topics, stuff like that. I was like, okay, that one looks really good. Write it. You wrote it. I checked it out. Looked good. And then like I had to pay you. And like that process then is like disconnected because it's on this other platform. So then we have this like jumbled way to like measure, you know, who we've paid for what and for like why and when and where the deliverables. So we were managing like 3 or 4 different tools, you know, like stuff is getting lost in Discord chats, you know, people forget about stuff. So it's extremely like difficult right now to run a DAO. And, you know, what we've basically done is create like a single place where if Wonder had existed when we connected, if you went to Wonder, you would have seen like, oh, here's a bunch of topics I can write about, or I can submit an idea for a topic. In the app, I could approve that article. You could be working on it. I could see how you're making progress. Then you could submit the deliverables and I could either approve and pay you out on the spot, or I could send it into revision right in one place. And then we have, if I pay you out, we have a ledger of all the payments that have happened. So it's like a beautiful place where you can organize, and we just basically provide all the infrastructure a DAO needs in a single space to do their project management. Gotcha. So it's just basically like streamlining that whole process. And what's so cool is the more like we dog food our own product and use it and work with contributors, the more ideas for functions that we have too. So sorry that we didn't do that on Wonder originally, but next time.
It's I'm so excited for everything that is gonna come with Wonder. Like, and I'm also aware that the whole like current ecosystem is a roller coaster and everyone is pivoting like every day. But that makes it so much better in the long run. So fully like in support of it. Like, I just have a couple of like things I've been like curious about. So I know that Wonder is like a one-stop shop for like every DAO tooling. Does this work with like any sort of DAO? Like I know that there's such a wide range of DAOs within the minority that DAOs are, and like the organizational ecosystem. Like, does it work with like every single type of DAO? Like, or are there ones that you're prioritizing more? Or yeah, like tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I think what's so beautiful about the Web3 space and DAOs in particular is there's new use cases being launched, every day, right? Like there's new people who are remixing old DAOs, who are trying new applications of it. And each one has very different needs. So for example, like some DAOs actually want to build a bit more in private within their own internal communities. Some DAOs want everything to be open, including governance. Some have like core team members do decision making, maybe like a Spartan council to do elections. So there's so many different needs for DAOs. And I mean, that's what's like fun and challenging, is like co-building the product with partners and trying to see what their needs are. So, like if we get feedback that they want public tasks, but they want private pods, like we are building a product to where we do want to be a space where like any DAO can come in and work. So it's obviously super challenging up front, but like for the long term, like we don't think there's one perfect way to run a DAO. We think that there's so many different use cases, and we want to be like a platform where, anyone can successfully manage their DAO. So like that's the long-term vision. Right now we're in a private alpha working with select partners, but like, yeah, long-term, we want to be, the place where after you launch a DAO, you come here and you can successfully manage your project.
Okay, you basically just answered my next question, which was kind of like, what does it look like at the moment? How's it coming along? Where would your final destination be? But you just answered that, so that's, or if you have more to add, I'm always.
So generally, like our roadmap, where we're at right now is like we've launched private alpha, which is super exciting because it's so much fun, like working in Figma and like envisioning stuff, but like actually getting code on production is like, and seeing it come to life is amazing. And just like Andros, Terry, our contributors, like Joax, Junis, like it's amazing how quickly they ship. And so I'm blown away there. We're going to start onboarding a lot more alpha partners, which is super exciting. But like, if you want to talk like general roadmap for the company, there's a lot of exciting stuff. Obviously, we're just trying to completely nail product market fit before scaling, because I think like that's a really good way to do it. Because abandonment of a platform is almost worse than not the initial acquisition. So we're getting feedback on the product now. We're continuing to build it. I think like a year from now, 5 years from now, how we're kind of thinking about it is, we want to make work align with your passions, your skill set, and the impact you want to have in the world. So we're really trying to create like a full system where, it's like connected. It has almost like social aspects and gamification, because like, why isn't work more fun? Like, why is Asana not fun? Like all these platforms, like, I don't know who decided that. Like we all grew up like playing video games. Like there's so many fun things that we could integrate from other like disciplines into work management. So there's gonna be a lot of fun stuff coming out there. And, like our like long-term vision is to help people go from 0 to 1 on their, world-changing projects or good ideas that they have. So, thinking about like launching a podcast or, starting a nonprofit, we want to like create really cool like templates so people can also like start projects in a simple, coherent way from start to finish. So we have really like grand visions long term, but I think like short term, like we just really want to help this DAO movement, because like providing a good infrastructure for DAOs like has like world-changing consequences in the future.
Absolutely. Like world-changing, life-changing. Like I'm waiting for it. I have had my own like fair share of not contributing per se, but like lurking and like, being in DAOs myself. And there's just such a large spectrum of like great management and then like just horrible, like, oh, what is going on here sort of thing. So I'm excited to see DAOs thrive and for everyone to be happy. So yeah, I mean, thanks for laying down the roadmap for us. Like I'm gonna move on to a little bit more of like a personal, I guess, yeah, like a personal question. From your experience in this like Web3 space, what are some things that, like, I guess people should be aware of before they come in and, you know, start to work on their world-changing project or want to like pursue their passions in the space? Is there anything that we can help, I guess, flag in case someone is like super keen but kind of, yeah, wants to jump the gun too fast? Like any words of advice?
I actually, well, obviously, like there is the caveats of like being safe with your finances and your wallets and, you know, like being safe with your investments, stuff like that. But I think actually people should just like jump in, throw caution into the wind and just get involved. I really do. Like, I think so many times, I think like if someone wants to start a company, you could spend like years thinking about it, tweaking ideas, blah, blah, blah. But I think like with Web3 or life in general, like sometimes it's just good to get involved. Like you just came in, you're like, I want to write an article. Like, I think it's actually like really powerful to just like start. And I think a lot of people maybe feel scared or like they have to be on the sidelines, but actually like encourage you, like, if you feel like writing an article or contributing to code, or you want to make someone's social strategy, like speak up, go for it, have fun, make mistakes. It's actually like, I think the Web3 community is super beautiful. And it's like one of the most, I think it's, yeah, like you said, it's the most like human connection to technology there is. And like people want to help and contribute. And I wouldn't be afraid to take the first step.
I like that. And I agree. I think it also gets easier once you do that first, like you take the plunge, it just gets easier and easier. And then suddenly you've like reinvented yourself per se in the best way possible. And then like, this is kind of a funny, like, do you have any NFTs yourself? Like, have you bought any? Like, how full is your wallet? Yeah, yes or no, I guess this is my
I like NFTs and I love like the use cases, the future use cases of them. I personally do not invest in NFTs right now, but I think they're really cool. Okay. I can appreciate that.
Financial advice. Like, do you know about the collections and stuff like that? Like, how knowledgeable are you about things like Bored Apes or like these like the Woody's collection and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like I work in the space, so I see a lot of NFTs and I appreciate it. And I have friends who like are obsessed with NFTs. Yeah, like Andros has like a CryptoPunk, you know. I wish I had a Bored Ape. That'd be pretty cool.
That would be cool. I have a question for you. Like, out of all of the ones that you do know, if you could have any one of them as a real life friend, which would it be and why?
So like Bored Apes are cool, but like they're bored. Like, do you want to hang out with them? You know what I mean? Probably not. Like, and even like a CryptoPunk, like they seem cool, but I feel like I'm gonna get in trouble. You know, like my mom would be like, "Oh, watch out for those CryptoPunks," you know?
Yeah, they're the friends that your parents warn you about.
Yeah, exactly. I would probably go CryptoKitties, to be honest.
Okay, cute.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a cat. I love cats. CryptoKitties, easy.
Yeah. Okay, that's the most wholesome answer I've ever heard, and I'm obsessed.
What's yours?
Oof. Like, I've always wanted a really badass girlfriend, and I know Crypto Coven like has been in the space for a while, but I really want one, and I want one as a friend as well, so we can go around being badass. Not that I'm saying I am, but I wish I was. So like, I want to like wrap it up really quick. Like, how, I know you guys are still in your alpha and you're doing lots of stuff with it, but how can people listening or watching either like get involved with or support or just like keep up to date with Wonder and your future like endeavors?
Yeah, love it. So yeah, if you are a DAO operator and you want to try out Wonder, we have like, we walk you through the process, onboard you. If you don't know anything about project management too, like we'll have someone help you. It's a very white glove experience. And we want you to be successful, obviously. So we're really great partners. So if you want to use the platform, hit us up. You can either go to Wonderverse.xyz. We have like an old landing page that'll be updated soon. It'll be beautiful. Hopefully by the time you watch it, it's there. You can check us out on Twitter, hit us up in the DMs, Wonderverse_XYZ. Or you could join our community and hang out with some of these awesome people, Discord. Yeah. So you can find that through our site or through our socials, I think. So yeah, I think like just jump in, get involved, follow us on Twitter maybe. But yeah, I think like the Web3 space is just super exciting and it feels like we're at the ground floor. So it's super collaborative. If you have ideas for the product, if you want to do integrations with your product, like hit us up.
Yeah, I just want to speak to that point about joining the Discord community. Like Wonder has an awesome Discord. And the cool thing about like joining a Discord is that you're really like in there. You'll be speaking to Adam, like you'll be doing things, you'll be like brainstorming in the channel. So like go for it, get in there, just do it. Thanks so much.
Hop in the GMs, say GM. Like that's the best way to get involved in any DAO.